Good job by J.J. McCarthy.
The handoff. Alec Menace is going to throw a pick.
They give it to Corum. Up back. Corum. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Roman Wilson does it again. Hill finds some daylight. He's got some speed at the blocker.
Outside, turns the corner. Blake Corum down the sideline. Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine.
McCarthy extends the play. Now using legs. McCarthy a first down.
All right. Mac, you know you're on camera, right?
What? Oh, hi.
Excellent.
Sorry, I'm yelling at Justin.
We got to work on that intro. Like I said last week, we want to be a Big Ten channel now rather than a Michigan channel. But as you can see, we look an awful lot like a Michigan channel. But it doesn't matter because we got a huge show tonight. We've got all kinds of guests, new guests, old guests. We're going to talk some football, and we're going to have fun. Right, Mac?
Huh?
I ordered you to have fun this show. Thank you. Week 9 is over, and we are now headed into official CFP territory. The first CFP rankings will be released tomorrow, and we're going to make some guesses today as to what that might look like. I think, unless I forgot to put that question in, because it's a good thing we got that 5-minute intro, because the whole time we were talking to everybody, I had the wrong script pulled up. I had one pulled up from August, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, that's not what we're talking about. Oh, that's August. Can Penn State end Ohio State's season? And is Michigan on the rebound? Teaser, we also have the Big Ten Brady Bunch back, and we've got a full house for Week 10 of the Pigskin Showdown 2024. New faces, like I said before, all right here on the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. It is a Big Ten channel, not just a Michigan channel. Expert trash talk and unrivaled analysis. I am your host, Cliff. With me, as always, is Mac. Mac, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing great. This is going to be an awesome show, except for Justin. And you know, I've got a poll going right now. Does Justin know ball? There are 2 votes, and both of them say no. So Justin doesn't know ball. It's decided. I mean, this is democracy and majority rule. There is no electoral college in this. So Justin doesn't know ball. That's where we're at.
The private chat is lighting up. He's going to come at you hard. I just want you to understand that.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So along with our firsts tonight, I get to say something I haven't said before. We're going to do ladies first on the guest because we have our first woman on the show. We have Miss Leanne Herring. Leanne, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you guys for having me on the show. It's nice to venture off for an evening from usual SEC territory to talk a little bit Big Ten. Excited, like I said. It's been a crazy 9 weeks of football. CFP polls coming out, but I mean, you can't help but not recognize what's going on in the Big Ten and the SEC, because when it's all said and done, it looks like these are the 2 conferences that will be going head to head for those 12 spaces. And of course, some surprises.
Yeah, it's going to be wild, especially if they really do come down to that whole super conference thing. But before we get into that, Leanne, why don't you tell everybody what you do, where they can find you, all of the social media stuff.
I'm the director of recruiting over at the Rebel Walk. We cover Ole Miss athletics. I specialize in Ole Miss recruiting, so do a little bit of scouting. So you can find me on Twitter at MissKYUS2011, and you can follow us at the Rebel Walk, finding all the latest on Ole Miss athletics, SEC news, and recruiting.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Our next guest tonight is Ben. Ben is also new to the channel. Ben runs the Oregon football at the Voice of College Football channel. Ben, how are you doing? Why don't you tell us all about yourself and the social media stuff?
I'm doing great. Thank you also for having me on the show. And that's it. I do the Oregon weekly show, post-game show live for Mark Rogers on the Voice of College Football. I also run the Sunday night show, College Football After Dark. And then you can find me on Twitter, Exploring with Ben, or on YouTube, Exploring with Ben and Sam, where we do urban exploration and just a bunch of nonsense live streams if you want to get offended. I mean,
cool.
That's all I can say. Oh, and also, I want to stop and immediately correct you on something. This is the #1 Oregon Ducks. Also.
All right. Yeah,
You're one of them. Okay.
we have a special name for you guys around here. We call you guys the Quackers out west.
It's the Quack Attack. I
It's
mean,
the
get
Quack-
used to it.
Yeah.
The Quack Attack.
It's coming down
Like
on
that
Arbor near you.
Okay.
Soon.
No, I love that.
Very,
When
very
we make
soon.
shirts, we're going to make shirts and we're going to use Quack Attack. That's going to be great.
All right, at least be more original than Texas Tech last year, where they thought they'd come up with this ingenious slogan, and it's like, yeah, that's been the duck hunt. Like, yeah, that's been done a million times before. They thought they were original. They thought they were original about that, literally.
Naturally.
Texas Tech has never done anything original in their lives.
All right, I'm going to go to our next guest here. I don't know what happened to Justin. He is incognito at the moment.
His camera died because he got sick of looking at his bad takes.
Oh, no. So we're going to go to Buckeyes Battle Cry and Rob. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to being in Happy Valley this weekend. It's going to be a top 4 showdown. My wife and I were going obviously it's this weekend, but we're going to be down in the lower end zone. So really nice seats for that game. Looking forward to it.
Oh, sweet.
Nice. That's a big noon game too, right?
Yeah, I hate when Fox gets the first choice. It's just, they ruined it. It should have been a whiteout, even though the atmosphere is extremely hostile. I'm all for it. I would have loved to go to a whiteout, but either way, it's going to be a great game.
Excellent.
Hey, at least you've got a great vantage point to watch Ohio State's imminent demise.
Same as Michigan's against Oregon, right back at you.
Well, that's fine. It was expected.
Rob, did you give the socials there? Where can everybody find you?
Oh, sorry. TikTok is at Buckeye Rob 13, and I co-host with my friend Peter on our YouTube channel, Buckeyes Battle Cry.
Excellent. Speaking of your co-host, Peter, how you doing, Peter?
Hey, doing well. It's going to be a fun but quiet night in Ann Arbor on Saturday after another shellacking at the hands of a number 1 ranked team in the big house for all to see. I won't go.
We
further.
only lose to number 1. Thank you.
I won't go further because we did lose to that team. Autzen was not quiet that night. Not at all.
Not at all.
But I will take a little shot at the Ducks because they've never finished the season number 1. Ohio State's done that 8 times. So,
Ouch. Killing me over here.
All those jerseys, but 0 national championships.
in all fairness, to take back my shot just a little bit, Dennis Dixon, if he stayed healthy in 07, they probably would have finished number 1.
The story of Oregon's years. Always an injury or something away.
Always something.
Could I give a shout out real quick? Shout out to my favorite viewer, Borge Warner. I'm here for your buys, dude. Real talk.
Oh, baby. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Buckeyes Battle Cry, on Facebook, Buckeyes Battle Cry, and then also TikTok, Buckeyes Battle Cry. That is taking off. I don't know how I feel about that. I never wanted to be a TikToker, but here I am trying to promote my YouTube channel, and TikTok just takes off. So,
all right. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for being here, guys. It looks like Justin is back, and I'm a little worried about what he's done. So here we go. Here's Justin.
Dog's on the loose again.
Line it up, Matt.
What?
Uh-oh, we can't hear you, Justin. You're really faint, Justin. You're going to have to shout, man.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Line it up in the hole. Shotgun Alley right now. I've had enough of your slander.
Okay, we're ready, Justin. We survived. I wasn't prepared had we lost to you guys this weekend.
Oh, what happened?
If you
Nebraska blew it. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, if any of those red zone visits would have gone the other way, I think Ohio State had a really good chance at losing.
If we could have not ran all of those screen passes, that would have been fantastic. Or when we get the ball at the 6-yard line, run the ball 4 times. No creativity, whatsoever. And then Dante Dowdle tries to jump over the line when every single time. I don't know if you noticed, but he does that every game. When it's a first down, we need anything short yardage, he tries to jump over the line. But as soon as you leave the ground, you lose leverage. If somebody's there to meet you at the top, forward progress stops, you're done. I don't like that, but yeah, we'll dive into that. And there were some questionable calls for both sides.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna dive into our first question, but first, Mac has something very special he wants to say. Our first ad read of ever.
Our first ad read of ever. Yeah. We've got a sponsor, guys. This is great. So everybody listen up and pay attention. It's going to be amazing. Here we go. Discover the perfect gifts this holiday season at Honey & Co. Handmade Market. Their exquisite room sprays bring festive scents to life, creating the perfect atmosphere for you and your family to enjoy the holidays together. You can choose from a range of delightful fragrances that add a special touch to every room. Sounds so nice. They make great gifts too. So guys, if you're looking for something for your wives or girlfriends or I don't know, special friend, or if you got a dude friend that you're just like, dude, you smell really bad and I need you to smell better, get them that, or something like that. Yeah, it's awesome. They make great stocking stuffers, so we're a couple months out from Christmas. You got to start looking for gifts. Now's the time to do that. You can shop now at honeyandcomarket.com. The link is in the description. If you guys want to support the channel, purchasing from our sponsors is a great way to do that. So yeah, there you go.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
What's a fragrance?
Fragrance?
I was about to ask.
What did I do now? Did I mispronounce something else?
It's frag.
Just lost a sponsor.
Fragrance.
It's not a grenade.
It's definitely not a grenade.
It's kind of like a grenade because you spray it and it goes all over. So
That's true.
It does fragment.
Max, like, what did I say this time?
It's a
There is a
long A, not a
possibility there.
short.
But also, okay, so like Max said, the link is in the show notes. And also, the links to everybody's channels are in the show notes as well. I apologize. I'm using my hands so much. I'm not even Italian. I don't know what's going on.
I'm still really confused as to what I mispronounced about fragrance. What is going on
It's
here?
all right. You'll watch the live stream over again later. You'll get it.
Maybe.
I'm not going to, though, because I've always said it that way.
Chat will let you know.
It appears you don't know ball.
Oh, no.
Hey, Justin, somebody actually said you know ball.
Yeah, because they're smart. And
Just one person, though, it looks like.
Just one person.
Okay.
All right, guys, here we go.
Lowest percentage.
Let's start talking some football. Here's my first question to you guys. So we have a couple questions, and then we're going to get into our Week 10 predictions. Question number 1. The expanded 12-team playoff is supposed to resolve what happened to Florida State last year. As we all know, Florida State was undefeated and got left out of the top 4. Despite a 13-0 record and an ACC title, Florida State was not one of the 4 teams selected in the CFP rankings. We might already have a repeat situation on our hands. Now that the AP poll is not a mirror reflection of the CFP. I get that. We're speculating. However, this week, Indiana moves up to 13 with an 8-0 record. Ranked above them is Clemson at 6-1, who just moved down 2 spots after beating Virginia. Where should Indiana be ranked in the CFP when it comes out tomorrow? Discuss.
1.
Do it, cowards. Do it.
For me, I'm just going to kick things off. I think Clemson is overranked because of the brand of Clemson. Clemson is not the Clemson it used to be. I mean, their only loss was to Georgia. Granted, their only loss was to Georgia. I think they should switch it up, in my opinion. We got the power index on ESPN. Indiana's ranked at 11, Clemson at 13. But when you look at Indiana, their best wins are at Washington, Nebraska, and you got Clemson's best wins are at Virginia Tech, and maybe, North Carolina State. But, the good news is, as Indiana has the way their schedule is set up, they have the opportunity when they face Michigan, Ohio State, and then Michigan State this week. So if they can finish out and get some good wins, you have to put, Indiana above Clemson when it comes down to it. Because even though ACC and that schedule that Clemson played, there's been nothing notable about the wins that Clemson has versus where Indiana is and the notable wins that they could have and who they face in the upcoming weeks.
Oof. Yeah.
Should they be? I would say yes. I mean, based on just kind of in general how they've won their games too, and seeing as in the modern college football today, it's hard to be undefeated at this point of the season. We see that just by how little amount of teams are undefeated, and so there's something that has to be something that's rewarded right there. Just the fact that they haven't lost should be an automatic leg up, in my opinion, because they've handled business the way they should have. Doesn't matter if and most of the time it's been with style points. We've talked about the Maryland and the Northwestern game, kind of them to, kind of going blow for blow with them a little bit, just didn't have kind of the horses to go with them. But then the one game that was kind of the most important, they got up for, and we didn't, right? And they blew our doors off. And so that's no small thing right there. Nebraska, look at what they did against Ohio State. I think this weekend was more indicative of what Nebraska is than last weekend, and they just put it on us. And so I think Indiana's a motivated team. I think they deserve to be in the top 10 for sure.
I don't understand how Notre Dame is ranked as highly as they are after losing to NIU, and NIU just dropped. Sorry,
and Notre Dame always gets that push. They're always overrated.
It's probably the brand name. It's probably like Leanne, what you were saying with Clemson. I feel like this is the issue that we see every year with Notre Dame is that they get this late into the season with like one loss, but they're going to end the season with multiple losses. It's going to be another disappointing Notre Dame season. I don't understand though. Like this to me feels a little bit different because Notre Dame lost to NIU, a team that has now 2 losses in the MAC. They lost to NIU at home. That right there doesn't make any sense to me, how Indiana is blowing out everybody and Notre Dame is somehow or another ranked ahead of them. Texas A&M, I was going to say something about them, but I actually think I'm going to take that back.
Yeah, they just beat LSU pretty.
Yeah, Texas A&M just beat LSU, so I'm not going to say anything about them. But if this were last week.
And they had a QB change that looked to be pretty good.
Yeah, Marcel Reed is a kid. Marcel Reed is just really top notch. We recruited him at Ole Miss, but I've been watching him since he played at Montgomery Bell. He was kind of under the radar, was committed to us, and then made the move to Texas A&M. But this was a great QB change. That's something that they've struggled with, like we've seen over at Texas. The QB struggles. Oklahoma, we've seen big struggle. Jackson Arnold came and played big despite the loss, at Ole Miss. So yeah, Marcel Reed is a kid. Like I said, he's really going to do some interesting things. Same thing with DJ Lagway, another kid that I recruited, out of Willis, Texas. Over at Florida, is completely turned around the program. So, they always say that people play their best ball at the tail end of the season. We're definitely seeing with teams like Texas A&M and LSU that both had a rough start, especially in terms of SEC play.
Yeah, he adds another dynamic element, and he'll make mistakes naturally, but he gives them the best, chance on offense. Clearly, it's not even close. Yeah.
Well, let's not kid this. Not having Indiana in the top 10. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're undefeated. They've been dominating teams. They have a backup quarterback. That defense still stood up and got a nice win against Washington. And honestly, if you look at Clemson, besides getting absolutely murdered by Georgia week 1, what is their best win?
Yeah, what's the resume?
They literally every team, the only good teams they've beaten are 500.
Just think about it. None of us have probably watched really a Clemson game potential. Well, I have a full Clemson game because I just feel like Clemson's always playing a nobody. So they're always on when all the other games are on. They're not on prime time, all that. They just kind of fly under the radar and just kind of.
They're on the CW.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they really?
I know. I don't think
Cartoon
so.
Network.
Oh, I was going to say they were, though.
Nickelodeon.
The only ranked team Clemson has played is Georgia.
Yeah. And they got their doors blown up.
Yeah. The thing is with Indiana, if they were a big name program that just had maybe 5 to 10 down years, like say a Virginia Tech or maybe Miami, Florida or whatever, they'd be up there with these ranked teams, but they don't have the brand name. They don't have the sex appeal, if you will. And it's ridiculous. But
whoa.
What I know.
Hey, now.
I know, right? My bad.
Family friendly, Peter.
My bad. I'm a Christian too. What am I doing? But my bad. But no, seriously though, I think if memory serves me correct, the college football playoff, the first poll typically resets the AP poll. They like to make a statement. They like to say, hey, this is our ranking. You can go sit in the corner for the rest of the season, AP and coaches poll. And so they will do that. And the teams with losses that have not impressed will slide down and slink down. And undefeated teams, except maybe Army, will probably move up. So
they have done that, but they've also mirrored the AP other years. So really, they seem to vary every year of what their criteria is. Which
anytime they get a chance to give the SEC a bump, they will. And anytime they don't, it'll probably come out like it's supposed to.
Yeah, Mizzou, looking at you in the AP poll.
Look at their losses versus Nebraska's. Nebraska's lost to 3 ranked teams, and they've lost to 3 unranked teams. No, they lost to a ranked team, but they've lost to 2 unranked teams, I believe.
I think that Indiana should be in the top 10. Before, I wasn't a believer And sorry, Justin, but I saw what they did to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and you're right about, Nebraska's obviously a different team when they played Ohio State, more of an indicator what kind of team they are. So Indiana is actually like top 10, top 20 in all categories.
Yeah.
Rushing offense, pass offense, total defense, putting up 40 points per game. Like, they are a really physical, motivated team. And, let's say I still have them making the playoffs. They do have, even if they lose to Ohio State, I will say that I'm really worried that they could just out physical Ohio
Stop.
State.
That's not going to happen.
Out
The
physical, homie.
Yes, it is.
It's not
I
going to
mean,
happen.
Well, okay, not out
they
physical.
have the
but-
number 8 rushing offense in the country. That's how Big Ten ball is won. It's won in the trenches. So there's a really good chance that they could beat Ohio State, but only time will tell. But as of right now, I'm convinced they should be in the top 10.
There's
I'm
a
just
great
gonna-
stat too if you think about looking at Indiana. Remember, they have not trailed once this year. Also, if you want to talk about a statistic,
Yeah. I'm just going to say this too. Like, Nebraska, the reason Nebraska was as close as they were against Ohio State was because they were doing very well in the trenches and because Ohio State's offensive line is overrated. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're not as good as people think that they
Nebraska made
are.
a lot of adjustments and did some things with their fronts that they haven't done all season. The same thing that Tony White did earlier this season against Illinois, where we came out with Illinois in that 3-3-5 front, and then we had three hands in the dirt basically the entire game. We come out against Rutgers, and we, for the first time in the season, have 4 hands in the dirt just to kind of counter that physicality. And again, another week where Nebraska's defense, had a really bad game or similar to the Illinois game, and he just responded and made the adjustments. And that was the difference. It wasn't comparing those two things. Those two games are just completely different because the way the defense played today too, and Matt Rule talked about after the game, this is the first time he's seen since he's been there that locker room have a championship mentality was against that Ohio State game. So I think comparing those two are just a little bit I don't think you compare those two and just kind of say like, oh, well, it looked like this against Indiana. It looked like this against Ohio State. Nebraska did a lot of things differently, and they did a lot of things well that they didn't do in the Indiana game, and they just weren't on their heels like they were in the Indiana. And like I said, they quit. They quit in that Indiana game. They put their head down and they give up.
Here's
I
what
don't
I
doubt
want to
that
see
at
from the
all.
Hoosiers. I want to see what kind of mentality the team has. And I actually don't question their mentality because of their leader, Signetti. He is a phenomenally confident individual. He is self-assured to the max. He said, Google me. I win wherever I go. And I respect the hell out of that.
Great coach, man.
Yeah. I kind of want him in Columbus if on the staff in some position. That'd be amazing. But here's the thing, man. They haven't been in the sweaty. They haven't been tested. They haven't been punched in the mouth. They haven't taken an uppercut. They haven't been woozy. Let's see what kind of backbone and spine they got when they play Ohio State in the Horseshoe with 100,000 deafening fans screaming in their face. Hopefully,
That's the thing.
Constantly, because Ohio Stadium sucks sometimes.
That's the thing. They haven't been punched in the mouth yet. What happens when they come out and that early blow gets
And
landed
credit
on them?
to them.
I just want to nothing we can't. But
Well, and what happens if Indiana starts fast and immediately puts Ohio State behind the sticks, behind on the scoreboard? I mean, Indiana's got to be looking at that Nebraska game saying like, okay, all Nebraska had to do was change up some of the schematics and stuff like that. And it had Ohio State questioning things all game long. Ohio State actually had a point where they had to come back.
I mean,
And so Indiana, I think, is better. Well, Indiana is obviously better than Nebraska. They're looking at that game like there's blood in the water.
people are really going to point to that Nebraska game a lot, and I think are really going to overshoot their expectations to an extent. Because again, the score was, we were going to get our doors blown off regardless. But I mean, they were
Against Indiana, Against
with
Indiana.
the way we played, regardless of whether we gave up or not, we were losing that game. But like if our defense, because by the time we looked up, the score was 28. They had 28 on the scoreboard, and our offense is just atrocious. Couldn't keep our defense off the field. But I just, again, like if we talk about that game potentially as an outlier and less indicative of what Nebraska is, can we point to that game and just that game and say, like, Indiana is this, you know what I'm saying? Because Ohio State is still a much better team than Nebraska overall, talent wise, and just they're there, right? And they did some things that they probably could have done differently that would have given them, you know, a couple digit scores. You know, there were just some things that Nebraska did to kind of throw them off. So I feel like we're going to point to that Indiana game and look at this like, oh my God, like they can beat Ohio State. But I think at the end of the day, Ohio State is a team that is built for those games and built to get up for those games and built for the moment. The Oregon game, they lost by 1 point. I think that is the Ohio State team that they are, again, more so than what we saw against Nebraska too. I think just in my opinion, based on what I've seen overall.
So
they didn't get up for Nebraska. Sorry, Rob.
So I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate here. This is just me holding my team accountable and being honest. So the last 3 years when Ohio State played a really physical run offense, a top-ranked physical run offense in Michigan, it didn't end too well, and they got out-physicaled in the trenches, and they end up losing that game. That's all I'm saying. It's possible, you know, Ohio State shouldn't take Indiana lightly at all, but it is possible. I mean, again, you know, Indiana has the 8th ranked rush offense, so you got to have really good interior linemen for that. And, you know, that's how Big Ten ball is won at the end of the day.
Yep.
Well, opponent caveats apply to that as well, though. There's a lot of context involved in Indiana's stats, and I just will say that I highly doubt Indiana has an offensive line that can push around Ohio State's defensive front. I'd be very surprised if that happened. Michigan might be a different story. Playoff team might be a different story. But Ohio State's defensive front is one of the best in the country, and I'm very confident what we'll do to Indiana in the Horseshoe. If it was in Bloomington, I would probably not be as confident.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to lose to Penn State and Indiana.
I think Penn State
shots fired.
More reach in Indiana, in my opinion.
Leanne,
I didn't hear any of what you guys said because I just can't hear you over me being right.
Why do you have the lowest percentage on picks?
So what?
I have the most picks. It's just math, dude.
If you're wrong, would you wear Ohio State apparel on the show? If you're wrong,
no.
Then he's not confident.
You'd have a better chance of catching me in drag over Ohio State gear.
Hey, that's the second test. I tested the bet. Is he willing to put money on it? Rob tested the gear. No, he's not stepping up.
I don't gamble. I lost $5 on something earlier this year, and my wife banned me from gambling.
How's that gambling? You got to put on a jersey.
You'd have to buy one.
I'd have to buy one for sure.
I would take the bet on the drag thing though, if I were you guys.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that one's more of a bad look on you, saying that you would rather do that. To be fair,
over wearing Ohio State gear? Nah, that's just passion right there, man.
I'm passionate about drag. I get it. I understand.
Good Lord. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. You know what?
Clip it.
That's it. Kick everybody off. This is between me and Justin now.
Well, we'll start a head-to-head show on Wednesday nights or something.
Yeah.
You and Justin.
Royale. Boxing match.
There we go.
No, but that does give me a good idea for another college football show. College football drag.
Nice.
All right, moving on.
No? All right, never mind.
Well, the only other thing I wanted to point out was that, like we said last week, so Oregon, I mean, you've got Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Washington. So Michigan is feeling strong right now. Maybe they'll give Oregon, a slap, but maybe that's it. Wisconsin is feeling themselves too. They might give Oregon a little bit of trouble for a minute, but for the most part, Oregon looks to just coast through the rest of the season. But Indiana, you've got Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue. You've really only got one guaranteed tough game there. Ohio State has 2 tough games in there. I mean, we are looking at a situation where, if Indiana plays the game of their lives rolling out this season.
Well, another scenario is Indiana has 2 weeks to prepare for that Ohio State game.
Right.
So that does give me a little cause for concern. I'm not going to front with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not possible. Like, of course possible.
Well, yeah, anything's possible.
Team, but it's not something I would definitely pick on or like pick them for sure. Just because they're not 2-3 deep like Ohio State either.
Well, then again, I mean, Ohio State had 2 weeks to prepare for Nebraska, and look what they put on the field.
Well, Nebraska had 2 weeks to prepare for Indiana, and look what they put on the field.
Yeah, okay, fair. That's fair.
Ohio State notoriously.
Fair.
Yeah, but Alabama played Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt won. So,
boom.
Yeah.
True.
See? Logic.
All right. Any final thoughts on that one?
Go Hoosiers.
Army #1 for America.
Yes.
USA.
Oh, man. Navy.
USA. USA.
Come on.
Go Navy. They're still going to beat Army.
All right.
All right. I hope so.
This next question.
You heard it here. Justin's against the troops.
Hashtag go Navy. I said go Navy. Navy.
Oh, okay.
Middle America, man.
For the boats, but not the troops. Okay.
I was in the Navy. I was never on a boat, actually.
Leanne and Ben, see, I keep thinking I have control of this show, but I don't. So whenever you want to just jump in at any time, it's okay.
I don't mind. I like listening to Big Ten talk. Like I said, I always get to hear SEC homers and Ole Miss homers, so it's nice to hear, the different state. But just touching base back what you said, in these games in week 9, as we get deeper into it, like I say with the SEC, you never know what can happen. I mean, Ohio State, we all know it's deep. We know about that recruiting class they spent all that money on. But again, when you get into these emotions, the way Indiana's playing, what kind of culture that their head coach is doing, anything can happen. And for me, Nebraska gave a heck of a blueprint from that Ohio State game, because all they had to do was make Ohio State struggle on the run to expose them. So if Indiana can come in and doing those little things, Indiana ain't trying to be LSU or Alabama. They're trying to work to their strengths. And I think that that's what we're seeing in these games. And these games that we see upsets like Vanderbilt against Alabama, when we see LSU, supposed to come into Texas A&M and cause somewhat of a storm and didn't get it done, even with it, in a place like, look at Ole Miss, we have one of the best rosters, one of the deepest rosters, defense, one of the best defense for us, and look at how we played against Kentucky. So my point is, Indiana is playing their best ball. Nebraska gave a blueprint. So like I said, it doesn't take a lot to beat a top team when you're playing the way that you are with Indiana. There's a lot of things that I call those football intangibles that come out on game day that you don't play for, that you don't plan for, that can cause upsets we've seen in the first 9 weeks of this thing. That's why we have teams like Indiana doing what they're doing and staying undefeated, and teams like Ole Miss trying to win out and hope they can beat Georgia, because that's going to be their biggest win to try to get into the CFP. That magic thing. If we lose the game, it's going to be 10-2. It's those teams that are 10-2 that are going to be the ones that are trying to knock on that door, and a lot of teams are going to be disappointed.
Okay. So can we replace Justin with her as a regular? Sure. Also, I completely agree, though. I mean, Indiana's going to be going to the Ohio State game fully believing that they've got playoff aspirations.
Oh yeah.
And Nebraska, yeah.
Different momentum. And look, talking from a betting standpoint, and if you really look at it, the only week that Indiana hasn't covered, and they've had a variety of spreads, was in week 1 when they, but in week 2 they favored 44 points. They covered from 4 points up. So every week since week 1, they've been great against the spread. So when you can do that against the teams, and like I'm saying, they may win, they may lose the game to Ohio State, but I guarantee that's going to be a lot closer game than expected, because the way that they're playing, the way Baghetti's got his troops rallied. He's created the culture. That's again. In a regular, in 2-3 seasons ago, we wouldn't be talking about this. But look, team powerhouses like Clemson historically, Miami was trying to make a run in the ACC. We see how that's going. We see what's going on, at Alabama, all these different places, these naturally powerhouses. We've seen the decimation of the pack, which we never thought we'd see. But I am glad to say that Oregon has finally found somebody in Dylan Gabriel, and he finally made a home, because, like I said, we tried to get him over at Ole Miss when Levy came, but you see, I mean, there's just so many different factors that are playing into the season that have made it crazy already. I mean, like I said, when you see teams that you would never expect to defeat big powerhouses, the momentum shifting. So that that's what I say. You can have the deepest team in college football. You can be the best team in the SEC, but what we've seen a lot is it's been a lot of games that have been decided by field goals. Special teams, especially what I think have been the shot in the foot for a lot of these bigger powerhouse teams, have been the penalties. I know Ole Miss speaking a lot, when you're in these games, like rivalry games, whether it be Big Ten and SEC, you see a lot of these experienced veteran players, getting caught up and making some dumb mistakes that have made the difference in the games. I mean, like we say, Ole Miss was two plays away from being undefeated, against a Kentucky team that no one expected to come in with that kind of defense. And then, going into a heater with LSU. So it's, the same kind of be said when you have big matchups with Ohio State. We know Ohio State roster's deep. We know that they can put in any guy there, but is it going to be able to work? Are they going to be able to play, like I said, because they got holes in it too. And Nebraska was a perfect blueprint. Nebraska may have not played well against Indiana, but Nebraska found a way to hang with Ohio State and found their weakness, which was the struggle at the run. So, what's to say Indiana doesn't do the same?
And last thing for me on that too, now they have mistakes on film. Now they have some mistakes on film, and they're going to make adjustments. Ohio State might have needed that.
Yeah, Indiana is not going to necessarily burn Ohio State's corners like Oregon did, but
they're not going to.
You see what Indiana did this last week with
Ohio
the quarterback. They adjust to the strengths of their team and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And so when you play a feisty team who's going to be probably an underdog, you need to watch out because that team's coming for you.
Which
they're
people
a team
understand,
that believes in themselves, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
But does Indiana at 11-1, whether they win or lose to Ohio State, did they make the playoffs at 11-1?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I would think so. Absolutely.
I would pick them over. You picked them over an SEC team.
Here's why.
I would pick them over them. Yeah.
Here's why I asked, though. It seems like an obvious, stupid question, but it's not obvious to the freaking college football playoff ever.
Well, if they left out an 11-1 Indiana team, maybe they didn't make the championship game, but they were 11-1 in the regular season.
Right.
They only lost to Ohio State. Say it was like by even 10 points or something like that.
Sure.
If they got left out, then that literally just says this regular season means nothing.
11-1, they're getting in. They're getting in for sure. 11-1.
I think, okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's much question about that. The only thing that in this conversation, the reason why I'm pushing back so much is because we're almost talking about like Indiana as if we expect them to upset Ohio State, and that should not be the case. Like
I do.
I understand there's a possibility, and they're frisky and all this other stuff. That's college football for you. But let's be honest, that Ohio State is a juggernaut.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people just get bored with Ohio State winning all the time. So we're sitting there like, oh, it's boring to talk about them. It's exciting to talk about Indiana. So now we're like, Indiana, man, they might come on to do it. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't know. As a Michigan fan, I got so bored with winning that I'm kind of happy that we're losing now because next season's going to be so much better when we start winning again.
Season?
I have
3 seasons
from the West. I'm not in the West. I don't live in the West Coast, but for the Ducks there. We are 2-0 against the Buckeyes the last two times we played.
Sure.
So, by the way, just remind you, let that sink in for a moment.
So what I'm worried about with Ohio State is ever since Simmons went out, they failed to even get remotely close. Ohio State has failed to get remotely close to at least 70 rushing yards in a game. And if you're going to, like, looking at it, you're telling me that just because one offensive lineman goes out, like, the rushing game is that bad after that? I'm sorry, but like
it wasn't just that. Yeah,
that really worries me. And Mahalski, he got blown off the ball so many times, fell, tripped, just looked lost. It's especially with, like, it's really concerning, especially with the talent that they have at running back. It's just there's just too much talent with Junkins and Henderson to have an offensive line like this. But we'll see what happens with what Ryan Day does. At the end of the game, they moved Donovan Jackson out to left tackle, and they put Montgomery at guard. So we'll see if that holds and how that does. What are you going to say, Justin?
No, I'll let him take it. I'll let Cliff take it because since we're going for a minute.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Ohio State some more at the end here. So
yeah, that's why I was about to pass it back over to you and just I'll spit on that thought.
All right. Okay, so then that next question. Moving on to question 2. I want to talk about Michigan, and I realized, hold on. So Sherrone Moore, I think, bought himself some time with the Michigan State or with the Michigan fan base. Well, he didn't buy himself any time with Michigan State after Saturday's win over Michigan State. But as much as we saw Michigan play a much better game, how much improvement did they show? Or is Michigan State just worse? And also part of this discussion is Davis Warren the answer? And are there any coordinators that need to be replaced?
So here's how I look at it. We had two average teams playing for bowl eligibility, not for anything huge, but bowl eligibility. And Michigan's coaches were coaching for their jobs. And, I heard on, I think it was some Michigan radio where, Kirk Campbell called this amazing game. He called an average game against an average team. And no, Davis Warren is not the answer. So if you look at his first 3 games, he threw 2 interceptions each game, those 3 starts that he got. And one of them was against pretty much the number 1 team, Texas, and they're about to play the number 1 team, Oregon, in the Big House. And I don't think it's going to be no much difference. I have their offensive ranks right here. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh,
Sections.
Total offense, 124th. I'm pretty sure there's 135 teams in all of college football.
In the FBS, there is.
Yes.
I'm not talking about
running
college
offense,
here.
52nd. Their pass offense is 129th, doing 135.5 yards per game.
pretty good.
So, with that being said, I don't think Michigan's back on track. It's a good win for the state of the program that they're in. It's a good win. They get to keep the Paul Bunyan Trophy. They beat an average Michigan State team, and I think that it's going to come back to reality when they play Oregon. So those are my thoughts.
But
As a Michigan, all right, fine, go.
Hold on. So, okay, I want to throw into this discussion. Remember last week, what was it? Mac and Anwar were the only ones to pick Michigan to win. All y'all said Michigan was going to lose. So,
Well,
Mac,
of course I want him to lose. I got to deal with Mac on a daily basis.
Okay.
But it wasn't by a lot, and they didn't win by a lot. But
No.
I mean, someone had.
So
to
the
win.
point is that you guys all thought they were going to
And
lose.
literally, no, what
You
we said,
guys,
and I remember what we said was literally this. We said we feel like Michigan, it's hard to pick against Michigan because Michigan State hasn't been that good and consistent. However, we didn't know where Michigan was going to find the points. And then later on, they announced that Davis Warren. So we went with the assumption that he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback that week too. So, and also that, but literally I was like, I feel like I need to pick Michigan, but like, I think all of us agreed that we just didn't know where they were going to get the points from.
Yeah, all right. I mean, that's true because I thought the same thing actually. But
Yeah.
go ahead,
someone
Rob.
had to win this game. Okay, end of the story. Someone had to. 2 average teams playing. Someone had to win the game. All right.
and it was Michigan.
Rivalry game, throw it out the window.
I
But
mean, yeah, that's great. It's a great win for their program. So
you said the words the answer. The only way you have the answer is if Allen Iverson's on your coaching staff right now, because it's not on your roster. Another thing too, like if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. You beat a Michigan State team that has kind of been pretty inconsistent. Aiden Childs is, he had a good game last week. He's been growing as a quarterback. I think Michigan does do. I think they did do a lot of things better this past week. I will be a little bit nice here and try to give some football take, not just going on Mac, but it's a rivalry game at the end of the day. I think that game was going to be close, no matter how good or bad those teams were too. But I do think Michigan can build off of this for sure. But it's a matter of you're at the mercy of your quarterback position right now, and you're only going to go as far as that'll take you. So
I think
it's a rivalry game, so yeah, admitted weird things can happen, but
yeah.
Let's just do this. How dare you all lump Leanne and me into picking Michigan to lose. We never made that.
No,
I'm sorry. Not you two. Not you two.
Not you two. You two can stay. It's the other three here that I pissed
I picked
at.
y'all to be. I'm the one who picked y'all to beat USC, so I don't want to hear it.
Sherrone Moore may have saved himself. He saved himself for 1 week, basically. I'm sorry. Michigan State shot themselves in the foot in this game. I think that's more the story of it. Missed a chip shot field goal, 4th down fail, the strip fumble right at the end. It cost them points.
Yeah.
For Childs. Michigan State's the same as Michigan. They're just like very up and down. But for Michigan, I'm sorry, even a good quarterback, 13-19, that sounds great. 123 yards.
Yeah.
That is not a good passing attack.
Okay, but that's a good Michigan passing attack.
Well, this year, yes, that is. I will give you that.
No, that was good last year too.
Well,
that would have been probably an average game for JJ McCarthy. JJ had a couple games over 300, but that actually would have been about on par with what you would have expected from JJ.
But only 119 rushing.
Yeah, that's crap.
That's not good, especially against a Michigan State team that just got blown out by Oregon too. So
I'm really surprised that Michigan got gashed for 163 rushing yards.
I'm not. That makes sense. First off, Nate Carter's really good. Secondly, our defense has been, whether it's schematically or personnel, pretty crap all year long. So, and I'm not crap in the sense that they were decent against the pass for sure, but like those 3rd and longs that Nate Carter kept picking up, that was just bizarre. And to me, that looked like a schematic issue more than a personnel issue. Like Wink Martindale has been calling some really weird games. The defense had a good game against Illinois, but then they've had other games where the defense, especially the rush defense, has just been abhorrent. Like it makes no sense.
Well, that's why if you look at the stats, I mean, Michigan State literally outplayed Michigan in every facet of this game, minus the missed field goal and then the fumble.
Yeah.
Michigan State lost this game themselves. Credit Michigan, obviously, for taking advantage of opportunities. Credit Michigan. You have to do that
for sure.
That's why you play the game,
and they made the stop at the end of the game.
That's that winning culture that I think Michigan still has, and that's the difference between them and Michigan State. Is they still have that confidence, they still have that winning culture there, and that's why they win those games when other teams make mistakes. They take advantage of those, and that's what makes Michigan still be able to win games. The USC game was a lot of that as well. USC made mistakes there at the end, and Michigan took advantage of them. And
there is a belief that they will win.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Yep.
Whereas Minnesota lacks that. Whereas
Michigan State does,
lacks that.
They don't have that winning mindset built into their culture yet because they're not used to it.
To win, and when things go wrong, other teams panic. Michigan is not in a panic mindset yet. Because Sherrone Moore, at least externally, does not panic.
Yes.
And I think like Ryan Day does.
Yeah. And I think there's remnants of, since we're just 1 year removed from Harbaugh, there's still remnants of that culture that he left there where, 15-0 national championship. It's hard to just completely lose all that confidence, after having a team like that. They know that they're talented, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Those guys are talented. They're confident. But a lot of schematic issues and just a lot of being out of position.
Sidetrack. Is Ryan Day still calling the Big Ten crying about the Oregon game?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I thought so.
It's possible.
Yeah,
you got to check.
He really disrespected Nebraska too. Like at the end, I did not like that at all.
Yeah. Leanne, sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I'm just, like I said, it's listening, just kind of, like your take is, like I said, you guys get to see these coaches just like I get to see Lane and, these other coaches, them inside out, just kind of from the outside looking in, he bought himself some time. When your program is on rocky ways, just kind of like Michigan is, it's up and down, trying to find its new identity. Like we mentioned, a year removed off of Harbaugh, off a, very successful year, similar to when we saw LSU go on that high rise and then just kind of, make its way. You got to understand new coach, new culture, someone who's invested in the Michigan program. But, clearly Michigan needs a revamp. I think just because now they need to take ownership and transition. And a lot of that is having to maybe change out personnel. And the thing about it is, this is a story we hear all the time. There's so much talent there, but the talent isn't being utilized the way that it should be and able to translate onto the field. Like I said, you can have a roster of 4 and 5 stars. We see it on plenty of teams. But when you get them on the field, there's not that connection. There's not that translation on the field. They're productive in practice, but it's not counting when it matters. So I think for Michigan, do they need to go fire anybody right now? Do they need to go question those? No, those are things, when they win, they lose. You're always going to have fans that say, let's go fire the coach. Let's go fire the coordinator. We go through that, I think, every week in the SEC. I mean, last week, that week, but when we lost to LSU, everybody's like, well, Lane can go to Florida. We can hire Pete Golden over. That's just the fan base for you, because nobody wants to lose, especially when you're playing big time ball. This is big time ball. This is a business. There's just so much that goes into it. And winning and culture and all that is part of the business, making money, all these things that, that are outside of football. So I think Michigan has a lot of reevaluating to do, but I do believe he bought himself some time. When you win, you buy yourself some time, because the fan base is happy, the boosters are, but similar to what's going on in Florida, you can't just put this all on the coach and the coordinators and the players. There's definitely a lack of cohesion, but it also starts with your administration. And I think we have to look at that. The same thing at Michigan too. There's got to be some changes to bring some cohesion back to that Michigan culture that we know is a winning culture, and they're used to playing at a high level ball. But right now it's just not working. So right now they're buying time. But I do think at the end of the season, not right now in the middle of the season, is the time to evaluate. But there definitely has to be a reevaluation of player personnel and coaching staff and all that, and see what works. You don't want to lose guys that've been at Michigan, but when it's not working, when it's not as effective as it can be. When you have a roster of elite players and those playmakers aren't producing and they're not translating, there's something to be said about that. Something's not working. Look at Oklahoma, perfect example. They fire their offensive coordinator who can't work with Jackson Arnold, who is a highly touted Gatorade Player of the Year coming out of Texas. When you saw him, you couldn't believe that kid was a 5-star. You couldn't believe he had all the accolades. But here comes Joe John Finley against Ole Miss, and Jackson Arnold looked completely like a different kid. But again, it was a change in coaching, change in personnel, and fitting and working, making a playbook that fits to the talent. I think that's what Michigan will have to do eventually. A lot of talent, a lot of capable coaches. It's just a matter of, moving pieces and to fit the puzzle a lot better. And I think, but that's not a question I think needs to be done right now. I think it needs to be done at the end of the season versus trying to shake up things when you're trying to make it run.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, so looking from the outside in, especially coming from SEC country, when you look at Michigan right now, I mean, this is a team that has obviously prided itself on defense. They've said on offense, we're only going to throw the ball as much as we need to open up the run game. And right now it looks like really nothing's working on offense. So when you look at this Michigan team right now in the context of last year's national title run, and then the couple of years of success before that, is it Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator? Is it Kurt Campbell? At what point do you identify this is a coaching issue over a personnel issue?
I think it really is a mixture of both, because when you've had a coordinator who's had success, you also have to understand that when you get a new team in, it's a new set of guys. You may have some returning players, but you're still trying to work again. You have to draw a completely new canvas. And sometimes it doesn't work even with the top players. So that's what I think the problem is. I mean, we've seen in a lot of big programs that have these winning great seasons, and then, you get a new set of guys in, and it changes the story. I mean, like I said, we see it Ole Miss all the time. We're out a couple of players and it changes the game, and that's the SEC for you. So, same thing with that. But I think it's just a matter of, you got to find what fits and what works. And, Michigan's going to have to evaluate. We're coming up on 5 weekends from early signing day, and every team has to take the point. Are we going to go with high school kids? Are we going to go hit the portal? We need to fit a need. We need to fill a need. And Michigan's going to have to look at that closely in the next 5 weekends to see, hey, where's our signing class coming up? Where do we need to fill the holes? Offensively, if that's the struggle, that's what we need to go do. Do we need to go get more defensive players? Yeah, we should always have depth. But if the offense is the issue, then let's go recruit some kids. And if it doesn't work, then clearly it's a coaching issue. It's a coordinating issue. But it's just like I said, I go back to, Lane Kiffin. When he first got here, the defense was a struggle. We needed to go out there and recruit linemen and power, and it's made all the difference. Now we're having struggle on our offensive line, but what are we going to go do? Go create and go recruit offensive line. Similar to Michigan, you can't expect the championship team that you had the previous year to operate the same way, because there's so many variables that change. You can bring back some of your key star players, but they're not going to operate the same way, because they don't. There's a whole new dynamic that's coming in, whether it's 1 or 2 players. Even that little slight change I believe changes the playbook and how you operate and how it translates on the field, especially when you got new guys coming in playing under this pressure. I don't care if they're 4 and 5 star. When you got high school kids having to step up, which we see a lot of now because of injury or because situations that arise and all that. These young kids aren't always used to stepping up when they need to, and then you got kids that step up all the time. So, like I said, it's just we can't treat last year's team as the same team and expect them to produce, either at the same level. They might surprise us, they might shock us, or they might, be undervalued. You just kind of got to work with what you have.
I think that's an interesting point too about the chemistry, because like we lamented a lot of the junior starters heading off to the NFL, but you're right. If like half of them had stayed, you wouldn't necessarily have the same chemistry in the team. So you'd still not have that, national championship level team because you don't have the same team, even if you have 9 of the starters from last year, because you've lost.
That is a fascinating point she brings up. Yeah. So 2 things, I guess, I want to bring up. I do want to address the point she just made. There is a lot of variance in the upper echelon teams in the SEC, whereas in the Big Ten, we see a little more stability with Ohio State and Penn State. Who knows with Oregon what we'll come to see from them, and USC and other teams as well. Nebraska perhaps they'll rise up, but we see a lot more stability in the Big Ten. That is a fabulous point. I wonder if that'll be more of the case in the Big Ten with 18 teams now and instead of 14. But on this Michigan point here, 2 things were bound to happen in this game. Michigan State was going to start a fight, and 2, somebody had to win, even if they didn't really want to, and it wasn't going to be pretty. And so respect to Michigan for getting this W. I will say this, and I do reiterate this after taking the shot at Michigan, of course, and I like doing that, living where I live, especially in years like this. But just Sherrone Moore, he really exudes calmness on the sidelines. That if I could take one quality trait and give it to Ryan Day, he would be a super coach if he could remain calm and keep his emotions in check. He is not capable of that. I think that's very clear.
Should have got penalized for that.
I think that's very clear. But he wears his emotions on his sleeves, and his anxiety and fear in the big moment rubs off on his team, whereas Sherrone Moore in the big moment, we saw it last year, Ohio State on the move. What was Sherrone's face like?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Ryan Davis.
He saved it for the end of the game.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like Ryan Day, get yourself together. Stop wearing your emotions on your sleeve, bro, because it's negatively affecting the team and his play.
Oh, and shout out Ohio State fans for trying to mimic Texas by throwing things on the field too. Also, good.
I somehow missed that.
Very classy.
Hey, I think Peter's got something to say. By the way, just heads up. No,
Peter, Rob.
He's been trying to talk. I thought.
Oh, I'm Rob. I'm Rob.
I'm sorry.
So,
ADHD, bro. I'm back.
That's all good. Thinking about back to the, is it player or is it more, personnel coaches? I think it's coaches. I mean, I try to tell everybody about Wink Martindale. I mean, there's a reason why him and Baltimore parted ways, and he only lasted 2 seasons with the New York Giants. I try to tell Michigan fans that he's not who you think he is. Just because he's the godfather of the system doesn't mean it's going to work the way that it did with Mentor and McDonald, and clearly it's not. My thing is that something we have to look at. How long has Martindale been away from college football? Because it seems like those who have been away from college football, Mac Brown, Les Miles, who are the others who came back after quite some time, who were either in the NFL, and they try to come back and they didn't have success. So I think that another factor is he was away from college football for too long, but he also doesn't know how to use the player's strengths. I mean, why was he having I think Graham was lined up on the edge for a little bit. I forgot what game it was, but I'm just like, dude.
He's trying, because he relies on his edge rushers a lot in his style, because he's a very blitz heavy defensive coordinator. So he's probably trying to make something work because that's part of what makes his defenses work. The worst part of it is the fact that his defense is kind of key on stopping the run first and foremost, and they haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
Matt Rule also came from the NFL to Nebraska.
Yeah, he was
right?
only gone for like a couple seasons. In Carolina.
If you want another example of that, another good example of that, and that's a good point. When you're away from the game for a while, plus you hate recruiting. Thank you. Good job, Chip Kelly hired there. Love Chip, but good job, Ohio State.
I mean, yeah, he was away from college football for quite some time. I mean, since 2010, 2011. And, he really tried with UCLA. They had a pretty good 1 year, but he missed out on so much and couldn't evolve with the game. So what he tried to bring back, it didn't happen. So I think he's in a good role right now. So I think that's kind of, but
UCLA doesn't care about football. Get out of here.
Yeah, didn't you know they're from LA? Did you watch that?
Deshaun Foster?
Yeah, Deshaun Foster. The interview. He's like, we're UCLA. We're from LA. Also, you guys, on a side note, Jack Tuttle has retired from football after his 5th concussion. So
he just announced that on Twitter or something.
Yeah, it was
Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Damn, Tua better take notes.
To that point. To that point. Did they start Warren because they wanted to or because they had to?
Who cares? He's the better quarterback. Yeah. he's the best. He's the best quarterback on the roster.
All right, man.
It's not saying much.
I have a feeling
it's not saying much. You're right, but he's the best quarterback on the roster.
And if anybody knows bad quarterback rooms, I do. It's last year. And to Leanne's point, sorry, Cliff. Just one last thing.
Go ahead.
To Leanne's point earlier about the culture, that is important because again, Nebraska, for the Scott Frost era, had the 4th most talent off of the bus in terms of recruiting rankings and the whole 9. But they were one of the worst teams in the conference because it didn't matter once they got on the field. Again, that's another thing that Ohio State does very well, and all these top teams do is they don't just put 4 or 5 stars on the field; they develop 3 stars as well. And you'll be surprised how many 3 stars that Ohio State's and teams like that put in the NFL. It's more than those teams at the top don't just recruit well; they put more in the NFL and they develop better than anybody in college football. And that's another part of it too that people don't look at.
I'm not going to listen to the Scott Frost slander. He was a great wide receiver coach in OC for Oregon, and you had the best 3-9 team in the country that year.
Oh, that was
far.
That I wish I felt better about being able to say that I had the best 3-9 team in the country. Just something about that is not fun, man. I get all the heartbreaking losses over and over every single week. Yeah, I'm desensitized to it at this point.
All right, guys, before we get into our picks, I want to do this one real quick. Boris Warner asked Oregon versus Georgia, who wins?
Oregon.
Real quick, just pick
Oregon.
one.
Oregon.
You know what?
Oregon
Everybody said that Texas was going to beat Georgia. I called it. Georgia beat Texas. Texas has a really high-powered offense. Georgia's defense, they have at least 4 first-round picks on their defense. I think they would swarm Oregon, give them trouble. I think Georgia wins that game, and never underestimate Kirby Smart.
Texas shot themselves in the foot.
You can't underestimate Kirby Smart. Georgia is not playing at the level that it has played in past years, and I think especially on offense, he doesn't have that connection with, his go-to tight end. And I think he's kind of been lost, but, Kirby Smart always finds a way. But I think that game wouldn't be a blowout. I don't think, I think Oregon would come. And like I said, seeing Dylan Gabriel, who has, been a quarterback who's made a lot of stops, but he finally found his home. He's being really effective in Oregon. I mean, I think it'd be a lot closer game, but I'm with Georgia. I just think that Kirby Smart finds a way, but I think I think that would be an interesting battle because I think Dan Lanning, the way he thinks versus Kirby Smart, it'd be interesting. But like I said, I think that Georgia defense always finds a way. And like I said, even though that offense at Georgia is not the way it used to be, there's not that connection. They can still put some points on the board, so definitely be a duel. But got to go with Georgia. As much as I could talk myself into Oregon in this one, but seeing what Kirby Smart does, just the way he operates in high power situations and the way he gets his team ready for battle. If you've ever been in his one of his pregame speeches, man, there's something to hear and something to watch. And even me not being a Georgia person, but man, having to hear that he knows how to rally his troops and his guys buy into it. And again, it goes back to it translates onto the field when he does it, because he gets his guys ready for battle. So yeah, but that'd be a great matchup. Two great brilliant coaches in Oregon's Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart going head to head. I think it'd be a lot closer than people. I don't think Georgia would have a field day with Oregon though.
But at the same time, I think Oregon is just that they play complementary football better than anybody in the country right now. And Dan Lanning, watching his film week over week and the adjustments he's made, and like Ohio State, what he did against them was, a lot of times they did the, through the underneath stuff. And then against Ohio State, they had 8 plays of 25 plus yards, and they just blitzed them. They went explosive plays. They ran their guys deep. I think Oregon is just Dan Lanning is an underrated coach just because he's so young, and Kirby Smart's been there, done that, got the teacher. But some of the adjustments he's made this season, his offensive line, for instance, like looking at them at the beginning of the season and then turning around to Illinois, they were going to push against Illinois the entire game. And I mean, Dylan Gabriel's got all the time in the world. Some of the sacks, one of them, he kind of rolled around the pocket a little bit and took one that wasn't on his line. But just the way they spread the ball out very well. They do a lot of different stuffs with their runs. They do crack blocks with the receivers, but then they'll also motion those guys out. They just stress the defense out so much. I just think of all seasons, I think this Georgia team is not good enough on the offensive side of the ball to be able to keep up with a team like Oregon. I think Oregon's good enough now. They got the defensive backs. I just think there's some talent across the board, and that they've made the adjustments for me to think that their coaching could, they could really make those adjustments with Georgia as well. And I just think they're overall the better team right now.
And I won't be a homer. It would be a tough game no matter what.
Oh, for sure.
But I do think that, you look at the Ohio State game, we didn't have Jordan Birch on the field. We haven't had him for 3 weeks. And that's our best defensive player, probably. Like, definitely pass rusher. The other guys have to step up. But until Oregon could beat Georgia or matches up with them like that in a game, I won't go against Georgia just because Kirby has been there. He's done it. But if there was a year maybe to do it right now, Oregon's clicking at the right time. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's quite a ways off still. We got to get there first.
Yeah. All right. Let's head into our Pigskin Showdown picks. Let me hit the opener here. I love that stuff. Oh, hey, look at me.
Hi.
Why do you get to be the big screen?
It doesn't transition to what I really like it to. So here's what we've got so far. This is the updated stats. Garrison, who is still not here. I guess he's not going to make it tonight. He's 27. Games called is 35, 27-8. 77%. Justin, you're sitting at 88%, and Rob is at 80%. So you guys are neck and neck there, but Justin has more games, 33 games, 21 games.
Mac, read it and weep, buddy.
45 games called.
45 games there.
But efficiency is all that matters.
I don't care. As soon as if the sample size gets bigger, you're going to have more outliers.
That's what percentages are for.
Okay, so as soon as you get to 45 games called, let's see what your number is.
This is what percentages are for. Therefore, when the base or the balance or the total is different, so they can compare the two. That's what
it's easier to start off more efficient and then lose steam as the season goes on.
Well, you haven't passed me, so that's not coming to fruition. You were at 70%. You're at 73.
But Justin doesn't know ball. Justin doesn't know ball, but it just leads the whole show.
All right.
And Mac,
I can't even right now.
Here's what I want to do. I've got a timer. We're going to try this. We're going to see what happens. You get 30 seconds to make your case. Now, I recognize some games we have more to talk about than other games, so if you don't use up your whole 30 seconds, that's fine. You get 30 seconds to make your case for your winning team and then give your pick. Sound good?
Yep.
I'm even going to do like a countdown if I can remember how to use my fingers. So, Mac, we've done this before when it was just you and me. So I'm going to make you go first. You can show everybody how it's done. All right. Are you ready? Well, first, let me say this: Minnesota is now 5-2 or 5-3, 3-2 in the conference. Illinois is ranked number 24, 6-2, 3-2 in the conference. The spread on this game is only 1.5 points with a 45.5 over under. Mac, are you ready?
No.
Go.
Oh, crap. Okay. We talk about it every week with Illinois. Brett Bielema, or however the heck you pronounce his name, he's the better schemer. He's always been the better schemer. I've always had it out for PJ Fleck ever since he took the Minnesota job and left my alma mater, Western Michigan. So I always love it to see PJ Fleck lose. I think Illinois is going to win this game. It's at Illinois. They're the stronger team. They've got the better defense. I don't really see a lot happening from Minnesota, so I'm going to take Illinois 31-21.
Ooh. 31-21, you say?
Yeah, what is that noise?
An alarm.
That was the timer. I didn't know you guys could hear that.
Yeah.
I'm going to unplug it.
Damn, now I feel stressed. We're actually tying.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
well,
horrifying. The feeling in your stomach when he starts doing the countdown, like you've got,
Justin, are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right, so Illinois, just I looked at the injury report, by the way. Most of the guys that are injured are coming back. Illinois, to me, is the better team, the more consistent team. Oregon, of course, is just a juggernaut. Illinois did as good as they could, but Oregon spread them out. They just had the better athletes. Illinois, as well coached as they are, just struggled, of course. Once they get on their heels defensively, it's a struggle. And I think Minnesota's playing better, but I don't think they're quite up to Illinois' level. So give me Illinois 27, Minnesota 21.
Stop.
Riding my coattails.
On the money.
Stop it. I got the same score, dude. And same team.
Go.
Peter?
Oh, I'll lock it in.
Go.
27-21. Illinois takes it. If it was in Minneapolis, look, man, the Gophers are starting to play some good football, but not good enough. It's in Champaign. They're going to come back, lick their wounds. It was a stylistic mismatch versus the Ducks. They had no shot in this game. Illinois takes it 27-21.
Ooh, 10 seconds left. Nice job.
Efficient. See how that works?
I started like 20 seconds early, though.
That's the trick.
All right, Rob, you're up next.
All right. I'm not gonna use the Oregon game as an eye test for how Illinois is gonna do against Minnesota. Oregon is the number one team in the country for a reason. I do like Brett Bielema as a coach, although I think he gets too conservative sometimes. But at the end of the day, they have the better players. They have more talent. And so I have them winning 21-18.
Ooh, 5 seconds left. Nice. Ooh. Wait, you said 21-18 Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Garrison's not here. I'm going to block him out. All right, Leanne, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm usually used to doing against the spread and over under, so I'm going to take my shot at the score on this one.
All right. Go ahead.
If anyone knows Illinois and seeing what Luke Altmaier does, it's me. He was a great, backup quarterback here at Ole Miss and found his way here at Illinois. While the Golden Gophers have been red hot, I think this Illinois is just going to be other. I think that they have 4 winnable games, and I think it starts right here hosting Minnesota. So I'm going to take Illinois to win this one 27-18. And then if we're going to talk, I'll take them on the money line too. If you want to talk about against the spread, and I'll take them for the points too.
Nice.
Dang.
1 second left. Beauty.
We gotta include money line and point spread in this somehow. Next year.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're just trying to have some way of winning. Like we gotta add.
You ain't got the budget for that yet. Need more sponsors.
We do, yeah.
Fine, I'll start more businesses. Whatever. Also, Dad, you spelled Leanne's name wrong.
Did I?
Oh, it's okay. You're just missing any people who spelled it worse. You're good. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
You
all right.
Pronounce fragrance.
Ben, are you ready?
I can't pronounce a lot of words. All right.
All right, Ben.
Ilima.
Go.
All right. Yeah. Now using Oregon as the litmus test for Illinois. Look, both these teams have been on a run. Illinois is having a great season. Minnesota's on a tear right now. I trust Brett Bielema. As long as this team doesn't lose their confidence, Brett Bielema is a much better coach to me than PJ Fleck. At home, I'm going to take him 27-17.
Okay.
27-17, 7 seconds left over. Anybody feel like debating those scores? Are we all good with that? We're all good with that.
It's like 27 is a magic number.
Apparently so.
I think I clearly
So
have
hard
more
not to
love for
call.
Illinois' offense than the rest of you do.
Give me 20 on that, Cliff. Change it later, just to be different than Justin, in case I get it right.
All right.
Bonus points.
It's so hard not to talk about the game more depth than him, dude.
Yeah.
Struggling.
So our next game is number 13, Indiana, going
Hold on.
after Michigan State. What?
We got a super chat.
Oh, we got to. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
We
too.
got
Blue Wolverine.
I got to hit the super chat.
Thank you very much, Blue Wolverine. Blue Wolverine has been a huge supporter of this channel for a long time, always coming through for us. He's even a moderator in the chat. He says he's got what Rob was talking about. Tuttle just posted on X. He is retiring from football.
Thank you, Jack Tuttle, for everything.
Couldn't be on Michigan's roster any longer. He's like, I can't deal with this.
He had 5 concussions.
Well, he was getting a headache from being on the team. He probably just thought it was a concussion.
That's probably fair.
So Indiana and Michigan State are fighting for the old brass spittoon, which is the most disgusting trophy in all of college
Spit
football.
bucket.
Yeah, spit bucket.
2.
You sound like I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
Indiana is 8-0, 5-0 in the conference. They are on a tear. Michigan State, fresh off the loss to the Michigan Wolverines, is
They're big,
looking
bro.
still to be bowl eligible. The spread on this one is 7 points with a 50.5 over under. I'm just going to go right back to the top. Mac, you get to go first. You ready?
Why? All right, fine.
Go.
At the top.
Michigan State sucks. Give me Indiana 35-14.
Wow, 23 seconds left. Nice job.
Thank you. How's that for efficiency, Justin?
That's trash.
You're trash.
Justin, ready?
Yeah,
Go.
yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, when I started now? When I start?
You're down
Oh.
4 seconds already.
Shoot. Indiana. So, crap. Michigan. Oh my God, I'm all. Can I restart? See what I
No,
mean?
you can't restart.
All right.
All right.
Anyways,
I'll restart it. You ready?
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, here you go. And go.
All right. Michigan State, Aiden Childs is, again, he's playing better, but I still think Michigan State is a team that is flawed and makes mistakes. I don't, they're still trying to get to the hump, let alone over the hump. Indiana is just a juggernaut right now, as we know. I think the spread at 7 is kind of a little crazy. Give me Indiana. I'm going to take Indiana. I'm going to take them 38-17.
38-17. Oh, there you go. 8 seconds left. Nice job. All right, Peter, you're up.
Stadium will be half empty after halftime. Spartans are going to get just boat raced out of East Lansing, and the Hoosiers take this one 41-20. This is not close. Aiden Childs does have a better game than he did versus Michigan in the Big House because he's back home in the friendly confines. But year one under Signetti is going a whole lot better than year one for John L. Smith Part 2. And this is just interesting. I do believe in John L. Smith long term.
You're done. You're done.
Did
Did you say 41-20 or did you not say?
Our scores are just
41-2.
ending up by a field goal for each. Look, 35, 38, 41, 14, 17, 20.
20. Yeah.
Yeah.
44, Rob.
Next one.
Don't break the
44,
streak.
23, Rob.
All right, Rob, you ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right. So Indiana is way ahead of Michigan State in all categories. Rushing offense 8, pass offense 21, total offense 8, total defense 5th, 40 points per game. Michigan State is not even close in any of those aspects of the game. They're an average team who lost to an average team last weekend. So give me Indiana 42 to 15.
That happens
I love
show.
that.
Every show
Every
that
time.
How long is it going to take? 6 to 9 months. 69 months.
Has anyone seen the Penguins of Madagascar? Because you wouldn't get that reference unless you've seen
Yes.
the Penguins of Madagascar.
I get the reference.
Okay. All right.
All right, Leanne, are you ready?
Yeah, Michigan State, while they've made improvements, I think that they can't keep up with the momentum that Indiana has going on, that they're playing more balanced ball. Michigan State's got too many holes and too many flaws that I think Indiana, even on its worst day, can expose. So I'm going to take Indiana to cover on the points, and I think this is going to be not a high-scoring game, so I'm going to go 28-14 on this one.
28.
Oh, wow.
All
All right.
I respect
Okay.
Respect it.
All right, Ben, are you ready?
I'm ready. That was
Okay.
goof. That was
Go.
goofy. Rourke should be back. You're going to start seeing this offense humming again. Michigan State just won't keep up. Let's just put it at let's go 45-17.
Hey, all right.
45-17. Blowing it out. All right, anybody feel like debating any of those scores?
How do you get to
Justin's call is
15?
total crap.
We picked by the same margin of victory, so then
Doesn't
that's what
matter.
it is, too.
Literally does not matter. I don't understand how you think Michigan State could get 17 points. There's no way they score more than 14.
Garbage time.
Oh, garbage time field
I don't
goal.
know. Childs makes some amazing throws from time to time, and then he follows it up the next throw with a horrifically boneheaded decision.
That 18-year-old experience. It's that 18-year-old
He
quarterback.
will be good, but he is.
He's been playing for 18 years.
He came out the womb slinging that rock, dude.
All right, next game.
I'm saving Ohio State, Penn State for last.
All
We're
right.
going to hit.
So I actually did research for this game. I've sat.
You like that.
You would really
no
get 30
break.
seconds. I put a lot of work into this.
No, you get 30 seconds. That's it.
Love it.
Maybe we'll do an after show at some point.
Speed read.
All right, number 1, Oregon, which I understand is the greatest team to never get a national championship. They are currently 8-0 overall, 5-0 in the conference. Michigan is now 4-4, 2-3 in the conference. Still, no, that's not right. They're 5-3. Whoops.
But Dad,
Hold on.
we're the only
go.
2 Michigan fans on the channel. What are you doing?
Matt,
Funny, every point laugh. They don't even know they won.
it's a spread by 14.5 points. The over-under is 45.5. It's the largest spread in a Michigan home game in Michigan history.
It should
I
be
believe.
bigger. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Mac, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
I think it's pretty clear at this point who the best team in the Big Ten is, and that is quite obviously the Indiana Hoosiers. But second place to the Indiana Hoosiers is the Oregon Ducks. They're going to have absolutely everything to throw against Michigan. Michigan's not going to have an answer. Michigan might actually have a couple of drives that look good, but overall they're just a weaker team, unfortunately. Love my Wolverines, but Oregon's going to come out on top here, 42-17.
No, 42 seconds.
It's also Oregon, not Oregon.
Oh, no.
How
Here we
about
go.
Fragrance.
I-
Fragrance.
So, okay, real quick. I just want to say, okay, grew up in Michigan, got the Northern Michigan / Midwest accent. I'm also in West Michigan now, which has some Indiana influences. There are a lot of words I cannot pronounce correctly. Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't want to hear it.
Move past it, guys.
Tender, Wyandotte,
Small town
Livernois, all of that.
Yeah, apparently I say garage and orange weird. I don't know, man.
Garage.
Justin?
Garage.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a car hole.
What?
It's a car hole.
It's a car hole.
A garage.
Oh God. All right.
Justin, are you ready?
Man.
Sure.
All right, go. 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, I don't even know if I need 30 seconds. Oregon's better by a lot. 38-14.
Oh, I love
23
this.
seconds left. Nice
I
job.
love this.
Peter, are you ready?
Yeah, Oregon's
And go.
way better. How about that? Oregon's way better. 45-17, dropping bombs
Let's go.
on the city of my birth. Michigan and Sherrone Moore and everybody just asked for Dusty May to make them feel better over the winter. 45-17.
Thanks, Tom.
I think one of my Michigan touchdowns might be accidentally scored. I don't know. I don't even know how they're getting 14.
Rob, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You will be able to add stuff, after. That's the whole debate part. So
All right, cool.
So you can do that. All right, you ready? 30 seconds and go.
All right, so Oregon has the 12th ranked pass offense, over 300 yards per game, and they're going to be going against the 86th best pass defense. So I'm expecting a complete air raid. Dillon Gabriel is going to ball out. He's going to throw for at least 4 or 5 touchdowns. Michigan's offense, they're 124th ranked offense in the country, is not going to be able to keep up at all. I have Oregon winning 45-14.
I wasn't looking at the clock. Did you say 40?
45-14.
All right, Leanne, are you ready?
Yeah, Michigan may have snapped its 2-game losing streak over that win, 24-17 against Michigan State. Davis Warren had a better game. Running back showed out, but I don't believe it's going to be enough. Oregon State undefeated. And I think that Dillon Gabriel going 8 for 26, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, even threw an interception and took it to the ground. I think it's going to be Oregon in this one. Michigan's got a little momentum, got a little bit of life, but I don't think it's going to match what Oregon's going to have on offense coming into this game on the road. So I'm going to take Oregon 45-14.
Ooh, another 45-14. All right.
This is
Ben.
painful. I'm not going to lie. This kind of hurts.
Ben, are you ready?
Good.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, coming in from your number 1 Oregon Ducks, this is going to be a repeat of 2007, but Oregon's not going to take their foot off the gas.
Yep.
I'll just say it right up now. It's going to be 42-14. We're just going to blow out. I know Sherrone Moore got a good win here. That's over with. Back to reality, Michigan. Back to reality. Oh, and also, I'm calling a Statue of Liberty touchdown play just to remind you of 2007.
I would do bad things for that to happen.
That would be amazing.
I would too.
I wouldn't even be mad. I would dress up in drag for that.
Just like 07.
You're talking about that too much.
I don't know. It was just popped into my head.
Do you have something to do after this? Is that what you're getting at? Seems to be pretty heavy on the brain.
I am running late, actually. We need to wrap this up.
Would anybody like to debate these score picks? Rob?
No, we're all in agreement.
We're all within 3 points of each other, so it'll be hard to debate.
I want to say this. All right. So after we lost to Texas, I knew that we were going to lose to Oregon.
You even tried and said
and Ohio State. No, I just forgot which way was right. So I the entire season I've been fully expecting to lose to Oregon. So this loss doesn't bother me, even if it's a blowout. It does not bother me.
That's why you're having to say this.
It doesn't hurt me.
You're preempting that it's not going to hurt you.
No, you guys are saying Michigan's going back to reality. I'm right there with you. I think any Michigan fan who thinks that Michigan is all of a sudden going to be better after being a 4-4 Michigan State team is kidding themselves. Like, Michigan has some work to do still.
Also, you need to clip that. He said if the Statue of Liberty touchdown happens, he'll dress up in drag.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, we'll clip that.
I could see Stein doing that just to be a dick. I could see it.
You know what's cool too is I wouldn't even have to change my name. I could just say like Mackenzie, the drag queen.
I would go shake.
It's all starting to make more and more sense.
Can't begin to tell you how proud I am right now.
It's all starting to make more and more sense.
He's got the hair for it.
Man.
At least here he's got the hair for it.
Yeah, I got the hair for it. Here, I'll put it down real quick.
Yeah, you got the hair for it. Dude.
See? There we go.
There we go. All right, our final game. Our final game for the evening is the Big Ten Championship defining game of the weekend.
Hey.
This game is going to be interesting, and here's why. Ryan Day's record against top 5 teams is 2-6. James Franklin's record against top 5 teams is 1-12.
Ew.
And in fact, James Franklin's only top 5 victory was in 2016 against Ohio State.
Painful.
Ayo.
This is literally the old. This is unstoppable force, or what is that? An immovable object meets an unstoppable force. This game is going to be it. I mean, what do you do with these two teams? Neither of them can beat top 5 teams, but here we are, number 4,
you
number
put
3
12
together.
men on the field and force Will Howard to run it out of the pocket.
These are two teams that are destined to hurt each other. Right now, Ohio State. I got this one wrong too. Ohio State is not 6-4. I forgot to update this.
God, this is not 2011.
Wow, I'm sorry. I double check these things, and then apparently I forget to update them.
Your brain stops working after a while.
After a while, yeah. This was
numbers.
Sunday night too, after 2 hours of driving.
Dang.
So,
He's projecting for the season.
I'm frankly really upset by this. This is an extremely professional operation that we've got going on here, and you're ruining it.
We had an ad read.
Yeah,
we had an ad read.
All right. So Ohio State is number 4. Penn State is number 3. The spread is only 4.5 points. 47.5 over under. Mac, take it away.
There's Oregon, Michigan.
Here's the thing. If Penn State was playing Indiana, I'd be like, Indiana's probably going to win that game. But they're not playing Indiana. They're playing Ohio State, and that's exactly why I've got Penn State winning this game. Yeah, it's a big noon kickoff. It's Fox, whatever. But it's Gus Johnson on the call. I love me some Gus Johnson. Yeah. Drew Allar's got something to prove. I think so does James Franklin. And they kind of saw some vulnerabilities with Ohio State against Nebraska. So I feel like, if anybody's got a playbook to beat Ohio State this week, it's Penn State. So give me Penn State 24-17.
Ooh.
Hey.
All right, Justin, you ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right. Penn State. If Penn State's entire team was as good as their defensive line, they'd be a top 3 team in the country, top 4 team in the country. I described the other day as they're the least elite team in the country, in my opinion. I just don't think they have the horses to keep up with Ohio State. I just think Ohio State across the board is better. Their defensive line might give them problems, but I'm going to go Ohio State 20. Let me go 24. No, let me go 27. 17.
All right.
They're currently the number 3 team in the nation.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying they don't deserve to be.
Okay. All right.
If their entire team is as good as their defensive line, they would deserve to. They would actually be the number 3 team in the country.
Got it. Okay. For a second, I was worried you couldn't read.
No, I think that's your problem.
Peter, you ready?
Nope. Not anymore. All right,
Go.
I'll give it a shot. That was hilarious. Bo Prabula or Drew Allar. Who's going to be the starter? Because that is a big factor in this game. And I must admit, I'd be a little more afraid of Bo Prabula than Drew Allar, in my opinion, because he reminds me of Trace McSorley, both in stature and size and number and everything, and play style. Hurry up. Okay. Peter picks Ohio State to win 31-21.
All right. Adding the timer was a great idea.
It was a good idea. Fingers.
All right, Rob. You got your binder handy?
Yep. All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Go.
All right. The only thing that I'm worried about is Michigan's offensive line. Hopefully they solve the left side. Another thing I'm worried about is that they haven't eclipsed like 70 rushing yards in the last 2 games. They need to establish the run game, but if not, I believe in Will Howard. He really won me over as the quarterback. He's a true leader. I just think Ohio State has too much talent. And so but this will be a defensive battle. It will be, but I trust Ohio State more. I have Ohio State winning 24-20.
24-20. I'd like to point out, you just said Ohio State is playing Michigan, so somebody's got Michigan on the brain rent-free.
Well, your graphic on the far right side, where above spread, it does say Michigan, so I got your back.
It also says Oregon.
Thank you.
I also have Michigan on the brain rent-free. Once again, it was late last night when I was working.
The only reason I called it out is because you called him out.
Excuses.
Oh, I'm worried. Is the spread even 4.5? No, it's down to 3.5 now.
Oh, yeah.
You're fired, dude. What is wrong with you?
It was 4.5 before. It was 4.5 yesterday. It's 3.5 now.
You got to keep an eye on that.
I think so. Leanne, are you ready?
Yeah, so for me, this one is like a tale of two lesser closers. We know that they both have their struggles trying to, beat the other opponent, but the streak's going to die this weekend. And, as elite as Ohio State is and as depth that they have and what across the board, we've seen plenty of teams that have come in with a lot less than Penn State be able to expose those holes against Nebraska being at the top of that front. We saw them struggle with the run, Ohio State. So I think if Penn State can come back with some healthy players, and I think that they can dominate and run the ball. I think special teams, especially for Penn State, is going to be key in this one. I think if they can help, with their attack and everything, so and bring up their wideout room, that I like Penn State in this one. So I'm going to take Penn State not only to cover but to make the upset and finally be able to be the closer in this one. I'm going to take them 24 to. Let's go 27 Penn State and 24 Ohio State.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
That's fair analysis.
I didn't come up with any rules as to what happens when you go 30 seconds over the 30 seconds. But...
yeah, the only rule was Justin was going to hit the buzzer like a total dick. I'm not even mad. Like, she's the only one who went with Penn State aside from me. I'm happy. This is great.
There we go.
Boom.
Ben, are you ready?
Yes.
And go.
Like you guys have mentioned, both these coaches need this type of win. Ryan Day needs it. Franklin needs it. Penn State's played gritty this year. Ohio State's blown out teams. In a couple close games, yes, they beat Nebraska. They lost to the Ducks. Give me Penn State 24-21.
Oh.
Never trust James Franklin in a big game. Just don't do it.
Or Ryan Day.
All right.
That's the point.
I mean,
I know.
That's the point.
That's what I'm talking about.
We played for a national title under him, so
we played for one under
All
Mark
right.
Alfrich too. So
that's a fair counterpoint.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to let each of you go one at a time here so you can give your details. I'm going to let Justin go first because Justin needs to go do something that he already told me about. So, Justin, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for everything you do. And, you know what? Before you go, though, when is your album coming out?
Oh, God. Never.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Or okay, I was like, don't you dare pull it up. I was waiting. I saw the windows move. I was like, don't do it. No, but I appreciate you having me on again. Always a good time. And I appreciate which one are you, Ben or Sam? Sorry.
I'm Ben.
Ben, okay. Again, ADHD, I'm good with faces, bad with names, so forgive me. So nice to meet you and Leanne. But yeah, you can find me over at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. You can find me over at Big Ten Show on YouTube at Big Ten Show, and you can find me on X at _H-Town Husker. So y'all go give me a follow over there. And I'll be back next week to talk trash on Mac.
Excellent. All great stuff from Justin. Thank you very much, Justin, for being on the show.
Enjoy the drag
next
show,
week.
Mac.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be great. I look good in heels.
That's terrifying.
All right. Take care, Justin.
Peace.
I really had to work on my calves.
Did you?
Oh, Lord.
Ben, you had mentioned, I don't know if you guys need to get moving or what, but I'll go with you, Ben.
Yeah, I got a live stream in about an hour. I got to cook some food and
Okay.
so I know it's been fun coming on. So definitely, if you guys would like back on talk Ducks and stuff like that, I'll be more than happy to join in anytime. Especially talk trash to Michigan, Ohio State.
Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on the Oregon Voice of College Football channel, as well as Exploring Ben and Sam here on YouTube, Exploring Ben on Twitter. I have TikTok and all that stuff. I don't use it, but you can find me over there if you want to.
All right. Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing some drag next week too.
Oh, totally. Oh, you know what? We should do a Halloween special because that's this week. So maybe, we'll figure that out.
You might have to. Yeah, Ben, thanks again for reaching out to us. It's been good to have you on the show. Appreciate it.
And Sam, is also nice to meet all of you and Leanne. I'll be watching the Ole Miss. All right. Take care, Ben. We'll see you soon.
Are you guys going to the game? I saw that tickets are going for like $75 a pop. So
Are they?
Nah.
No, I'm not going to make that one.
Come
No.
on. It's still
I
great.
might go.
You know
I have
what?
a buddy from
Even though I'm an Ohio State fan, I will admit that the big house is a great atmosphere. So
It's the best atmosphere,
it's not the
but
best atmosphere because
I'm
it
tired.
doesn't have the best band in the land at halftime. So
Well, of course it does. What are you smoking?
Leanne,
Ohio
Since-
State visits. Yes.
since we all don't have as much, we don't have our experience with the SEC. What is the best rivalry in the SEC?
You know, as much as I want to say Ole Miss in the Grove is an experience. Even if you're not an Ole Miss fan, we always have people that come in. It's a great experience, one of the best tailgates. But I would have to say, just some of the venues. Playing at LSU at night's crazy, and in Death Valley. I mean, there's just so many venues. I'm not a Tennessee fan. That Mark can tell you every time I have to, swallow my pride and admit just how good Tennessee is. But man, it's just an electric. The conference itself is just just depending, but all the rivalries itself are really good, and they're just really crazy. But I mean, night games at night in the SEC, no matter who's playing, is always going to be a treat, whether or not you're an SEC fan or we've had plenty of people that come in just for the experience. So there's not one particular rivalry that stands out, but if you're playing in a night game in the SEC, which Ole Miss is wishing we had more of, we got our schedule today and they weren't too kind to us. I think we're having 11 a.m. and 2:30 kickoffs, including the Georgia game. So Lane Kiffin spoke his piece about that. He wasn't too happy about not having night games, and neither all of us. So we're going to have to get early. Everybody's going to have to get up early and party by 11, way before 11 kickoff.
That's lame.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Hopefully, if the national championship or any of the playoff games come down to a Big Ten SEC team, we can have you back on, have you talk about that. In the meantime, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, give the social medias and all that?
Thanks so much for having me on. Like I said, you can read all my recruiting work columns on Ole Miss Sports and SEC Athletics at www.rebelwalk.com. Follow us at Rebel Walk on X or Twitter, whichever you call it. I still call it Twitter. And then my personal Miss KYUS 2011. And then also, if you want to look about lines and betting, I do a Kentucky Sports Radio Indiana show, a Big X Sports, Wake Up 502 with Rashawn Haven. We talk about all the big lines and big games on Saturday. Tune in. And then, of course, Ole Miss Alive with Mark Rogers on the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you, gentlemen, having me on tonight. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much for being
soon.
on. All right. Take care, Leanne. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks, guys.
I think I cut her off there. Whoops.
Oh, nice job.
I didn't mean to. All right, guys. How are you guys feeling about this game coming up?
Man,
The Penn State game.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous.
yeah, because
It's just that offensive line. I mean, they're gonna have to. So here are my keys for Ohio State to win. Isolate.
That was Peter. That was Peter.
What?
You went, oh Lord, when you brought that up.
So isolate Abdul Carter, establish
15 minutes.
The run game, shut down, and stick to what works. It seems like when passing is working, they then go to the run. Like if passing is working and you have that team on the ropes, keep passing the ball. Like I'm so tired. But sometimes I think like, am I seeing something that Ryan Day is seeing? And if so, like, what are we doing here?
Oh, go ahead.
But I'm really concerned about the if Mahalski's in. If you see a fan in the end zone who's literally just busting benches and raging, that's me. So I don't want to see him in the game. I wish him a speedy recovery from whatever happened to him. But for some players, Ohio State is a dream school, and for some it's a reality. He's a senior. This is what it is with him. It's a dream school. Like he shouldn't be playing.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I am the balance. Rob and I are good friends. We are very different in terms of our fanhood. I was telling him on our show that we did on Sunday, there was never a point in the Nebraska game where I feared we were going to lose the game. When they scored, I panicked. I did, but I always thought we were going to win the football game. You know, I'm a very spoiled Ohio State fan. I'm a very optimistic Ohio State fan. Our offensive line gives me great cause for concern moving forward, especially in these big games. It won't be as big of a problem versus Purdue, you know, versus some other teams that we might face in the upcoming games. But I am very confident because of James Franklin's demeanor in big games. He is even worse than Ryan Day in demeanor wise, and that rubs off on his team poorly. I truly believe Ohio State's going to win this game based on how Penn State's been playing. I think Will Howard's going to carry us, and he's extra motivated being a Pennsylvania kid. And so I'm very excited about the prospects of Will Howard balling out with Carnell Tate, Emeka Ibuka, J.J. Smith, and crew.
So I'm sticking to my prediction where Ohio State needed to lose to Oregon in order to, you know, be motivated to move forward and make a run. But it's not going to be pretty. These wins are not going to be pretty, especially against the top teams. You know, I have them, you know, squeaking it out by like 4, 7, maybe 10 points, but it's gonna be a lot of work. But if you really look at it, the Oregon Ohio State game, Ohio State hasn't played their best football yet.
It's true.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you guys were saying, I mean, I fully expect Ohio State to win this game just because, and I don't know if it's strictly because I'm a Michigan fan. So whenever time we hear about Ohio State, it's like, well, they just always win. But I don't know if that's like what do you call that? Like a confirmation bias or something. But it is that an interesting conundrum with Ryan Day having his trouble with top 5 teams and James Franklin having troubles with top 5 teams. This is one game where one of them gets to break that stat. But I don't know. It's one of those. It's kind of like, I don't know. In Marvel Comics, it was always those kinds of questions, like what happens if the Juggernaut hits the Blob? You know, the Blob's the immovable object, and the Juggernaut is the unstoppable force. And it's almost like Ryan Day and James Franklin are that same scenario. There's an X factor there that you just don't know.
Well,
and when these guys hit, what happens?
That's a great point. And you know what is also interesting? Yes, Penn State is ranked ahead of Ohio State. They're a top 5 team. Yeah, I get that. But the national narrative still believes Penn State, 1, isn't a top 5 team, and 2, always loses these games. So Ohio State and Ryan Day most likely will win this contest, but they won't view it as a top 5 win, even though it counts in the stat sheet as a top 5 win. They'll just say, yeah, Penn State always loses to Ohio State. No big deal.
Right.
I will second that. I think if, let's say, Penn State beats Ohio State, James Franklin will get all the credit in the world. But if Ryan Day beats Penn State, they'll just be like, well, you know, they won against another team.
Right.
So
yeah.
you were supposed to do it. You haven't lost to Penn State since 2016. So it's just something he's got to do.
Right.
Now Oregon, Michigan. That's going to be a fun one because I have a buddy coming to town for that game. He's an Oregon Duck fan. I went to school with him. He fell in love with the jerseys. I'll say that. And the flash.
Which one? Because there's like 80
Mickey.
million of them.
Yeah, they're all the same. They're clones. They're bots. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're indoctrinated into Phil Knight's cult. But anyway, I'm gonna get rolling. But yeah, you can find us on Buckeyes Battle Cry. We are nearing 300 subscribers. We are gaining one seemingly every day, which is very exciting for us.
Awesome.
We have gained momentum. The loss was a blessing for the channel. People love to comment. The thing is, be cocky and you know, divisive in the headlines, in your titles for videos. But if you lose, take it with grace and humility, and you will gain subscribers.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I just posted a video on the Michigan-Oregon game. I'm nice in here because you guys are the most level-headed Michigan fans I ever met. But on my channel, I'm just But yeah.
And that's
You get-
fine.
Well, then guess what? I'm not going to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching that week. Trust me. Don't watch that week.
No, but this
I won't.
is what I
But-
appreciate about you guys too, though, is that you go on your channel and you do your Ohio State thing, just like we do our Michigan thing when it's it's just Mac and I. But then when we all talk about it, it's fun to talk about. I mean, you guys have run into those fans. I'm sure you've run into the Michigan fans that they won't hear anything and they just mouth off at you, just like we've heard the OSU fans who just can't do anything except mouth off at you. So that's
And the
that's what
Central Michigan fans. Ugh.
yeah, or Michigan State fans who cry about everything. But but that's what I appreciate, and that's why I've been really happy to have you guys on our show, because this is what Mac and I wanted when we started this, is to be able to find fans who just like to talk football and are reasonable and not going to pick their own team just because it's their own team. So I appreciate that from you guys.
Well, I'll take off, guys. Thank you. That's very kind.
All right.
Thank you. You guys have a good night. All right.
You too. Take care.
See you guys.
Later.
See ya. See
you, Rob.
All right.
Okay. Oop. Oh. All right. There we go.
We're still live.
No.
Just so you know. Don't say anything
All right.
stupid.
I say stupid things all the time, though.
I know. I mean, that's our show.
That is our show. And it was a fantastic show.
was a
Big
great
shout out.
show.
Thank you very much to Leanne and Ben for coming on. Just fantastic commentary from those two.
Yeah.
I think we've been super lucky to get a lot of great people on this show. It's been fun and educational and just a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I thought we were outclassed by Justin, and then we brought on Ben and Leanne. Holy crap.
Yeah, they know.
I'm
their
just
stuff.
glad we didn't have Big Ten Ted on. Otherwise, we might have needed to just go on mute and let them all just talk. Because otherwise,
Cameras up. You guys just go ahead. Yeah.
This was the whole point of the channel, was to bring on other people.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check out the teamrivalry.com website, where you can still join in with our Pigskin Showdown online and make your picks there and challenge Mac and I and my wife. Also, check out Michigan Football on the Voice of College Football, where Mac and I do the Point a Minute show, which will be released tomorrow morning. You will also find John Diadamo and TJ there doing their recruiting talk and their live shows. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are almost at 1,040 now, which is very exciting. We hit 1,000 and now we're jumping right up. Really appreciate everybody who has subscribed. It's obviously it's encouraging and fun when you're doing this kind of thing that you find out that people actually like to watch. So
We actually hit 1,040 during the stream, and then somebody
good.
unsubscribed, so we're back at 139.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
Most importantly, join us next Monday night at 8 p.m. Live, and we will be talking about whatever happened at the Michigan-Oregon game and all of those other games and the new games coming up. And who knows who we'll have on next week. Maybe we'll find some more people to bring on. Mac, anything you want to add?
No, it was a great conversation, and I think we're good.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Enjoy football this weekend. Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.